Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Glow Up Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind to become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. Hello. Happy Monday if you are listening to this on a Monday. It is a snowy Monday in downtown Toronto, but I'm kind of happy because when the sun is not out, but there's snow on the ground, it does feel a little bit bright, calming. It feels good in the world. Today is a good day. And I'm happy because my mood has been freaking everywhere because I'm about to get my period. But anyways, nonetheless, I digress. Today is an off-topic episode. Although we're going to be basically staying on topic because we have a big topic to talk about today, which is how I personally think the no contact trend needs to die. And I'm going to talk to you guys about what no contact is if you don't know, what I'm talking about in terms of the trend that I'm seeing on TikTok, and the tips and the things that have helped me move through a period of no contact / a breakup. This is essentially going to be a breakup episode. And also, I'm going to be answering a lot of your guys' questions that I had asked you guys on the Instagram for the podcast. So it's going to be a lot of things, but we're going to be talking about no contact. So let's first talk about what no contact is, and then I'll tell you why I got sparked for this idea, I should say. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube, do we like my graphic tee? I got this tee from this vintage shop, and I love it. It's like race car. I don't know anything about race cars, but I feel like I really like it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so what is no contact? I literally just pulled up this definition. I'm just going to read it out to you guys. A no contact rule is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It typically means cutting off all contact with someone after a romantic relationship ends, says Trotter. I don't know who Trotter is, but Trotter is probably like a psychologist or something. When you establish a no contact rule, it means having no communication with your ex via phone, text, apps, or social media. So yeah, you're essentially going through a breakup. And the reason why I was interested in even having this conversation, or like I just had so many thoughts going, is because I keep seeing these videos on Instagram and TikTok where there are girls who are crying in their cars, or they're whatever, I don't know, driving, they're laying in their beds, whatever. And the title on the video says day 37 of no contact. And I knew what that meant when I saw those videos. So it was kind of like, okay, whatever. But out of curiosity, I would go to these videos and I would look at the descriptions, and I would also look at the comment sections, and these videos go viral. And it's either the creator or the people in the comments both basically talking about, oh, it's been like day 37 of no contact. Today has been worse than any other day. I've been thinking about if he brought a new girl to Thanksgiving. I've been thinking about if he's still wearing the sweaters that I got for him or that we got together. I'm wondering what his new girl looks like, or if he is saying the same things to her as he did to me, this, that, and the third. And then the comment sections are very much so like, it's been like 3 years no contact and I'm still thinking about him every day. It's really hard. It isn't getting easier, this, that. And so this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say a lot of things here. The first thing I'm going to say is essentially a disclaimer. I am not, first of all, trying to like tear these content creators down or tear the community down. I think I understand why there's so much discourse. People are clearly getting something out of this, right? It's beautiful in a way and very healing to have women, support and love and share your emotions, share the fact that yes, every single day is like not the same and it's a roller coaster, and like day 90 of no contact and it's been hard, this, that. I am not here to suppress emotions. Y'all know on this podcast, we do not suppress emotions here. But I feel, on another hand, I feel a lot of concern. And the reason why I feel this is because I've been through it, okay? I've been through many breakups, and I really want to have a productive conversation regarding going through breakups and no contact. I want to share with you the things that have really helped me to help you, because when I see these comments, when I see these girls who are like counting up the days, not only am I concerned, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I have some advice and I would love to give it to you. I'm not saying that I know everything, okay? And another thing that I'm going to say is, okay, actually first, I made a TikTok about this and I basically was just saying what I just said. I'm a little bit concerned for the girlies who are counting up the days of how long it's been since no contact. I understand you got to feel your feelings. Breakups are hard. No contact is hard, but I just don't see how it's really helping on a healing journey when you're doing this hyper fixation, hyper focus on the other person, in a sense of you're not counting the days because you're like proud of yourself. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about there are people, and you can see the comments where they're living every day in this rejected state. They are struggling. And I just personally don't want to see people struggle. And I've experienced breakups being in that state, and it's just not helpful, never got me anywhere. So yeah, I just want to give some tips on that. Before I get into the tips, like I said, if you find yourself resonating with this, you're counting the days of like how long it's been since a breakup or how long it's been since like you've had like no contact or whatever, and it works for you, then disregard, right? If it's working for you, amazing. I'm happy for you. Also, there were a few girls who commented on my TikTok saying, well, counting the days for me reminds me of how strong I've been. So again, if that works for you, then amazing. This really is not, actually, this is the episode for you, but I think you know that like totally keep doing that if it makes you feel good. There was also a girl who commented and she said, clearly you've never been through a breakup. And girl, could you be further from the truth? Or could that be further from the truth? Of course, I've been through breakups, okay? I am a recovering anxious attached girly. Like, I totally know. I'm 28 years old, okay? So let's just disregard all that. If you guys are thinking, oh, well, no, it's easy for you to say, no, I've been through it. So this is where I'm coming from, is coming from a place of experience. So I have a master list of all the steps that I've ever taken, things that I've learned, and things that I tend to go back to if I go through a period where something doesn't work out when it comes to relationships. And I don't even look at my relationships as like failed, really, ever, like not even one of them. I just look at them like, oh, well, we're going to get into it. But anyways, so there's a lot of things that I've learned from relationships. But the first thing that's always helped me when I'm going through a breakup or essentially going through a breakup is to emotionally release. And I want to really emphasize this because I think some people, when they hear, let's say, me talk about why we need to like throw out this notion of no contact and like this identity of like living in this breakup situation for like so long, is they think that I'm saying like, oh, don't acknowledge it, you like have feelings or it's hard. Like there's a lot of people who are commenting being like, no, but it's hard, like you clearly haven't been through a breakup. No. Okay, emotionally release. Give yourself, there's no timeline. When you're going through a breakup, maybe you're going through a breakup where you've been with somebody for like 7 years, okay? Or maybe it's been 3 months, doesn't matter. Give yourself the time to feel, yes, it is crappy, it is shitty, you feel alone, you feel disappointed, somebody probably hurt you, somebody probably walked away. We are not denying what has happened. We are never denying what has happened. I think a great practice you can do, obviously, you can do this with a therapist, you can do this with a friend, like have a conversation and like let out your feelings. Although sometimes I feel like some friends maybe don't necessarily know how to create and give space for those who might be going through a breakup. You know, maybe you have friends who are basically very like logical and masculine, and they'll give you advice, which is great advice, but maybe that's like not the stage that you're at. Like you really have to understand what stage you're at. But I think to have a journal practice where you sit and you emotionally release, I talk about this all the time. This is a practice where it's not cute. You're not like sharing this to anyone. You're most likely writing up this piece of paper and throwing it away. You are letting out all of your true feelings and emotions about what you're currently feeling. A lot of the times when we're going through breakups, we feel abandoned, we feel lost, we feel alone, we feel like we're never going to get that person again, or that relationship again, or love is lost, or we're rejected, or we're not pretty enough or good enough or whatever. I want you to let it out. I'm not saying suppress, even though logically, yes, what we're going to do is counter all of those stories because that's what's going to get you out of this situation. We're going to talk about that. But this is not to deny that you have those feelings. Quite frankly, your inner child feels those feelings. So I think emotionally releasing, and you don't just do this once. Most likely when you go through the roller coaster of going through a breakup or no contact, yes, you're going to have those days where it's like day 37 and I'm actually not feeling as good as I felt like 2 days ago, like this, that, and the third, although we don't need to count. Like, I don't think that's really helpful to like count every single day, but just allowing the emotions when they really want to come up, let it out. And this leads me to my second point, which is accepting everything for what it is. This kind of goes back to this, like, we don't need to suppress, we don't need to spiritually bypass, we don't need to convince ourselves that this is not really happening. We can accept that, yes, this is where my life is right now. I am going through a breakup. I am going through this period of time where I feel alone, I feel abandoned, I don't feel good. Accepting doesn't mean you're condoning any sort of behavior. You're all for the breakup. It doesn't mean you're like being okay with the fact that, yeah, this is a great state to be in. Like, you're not trying to convince yourself of anything. You're just accepting for what life is. Life is messy. Life is not linear. Life is not perfect. We know this if you listen to this podcast. So just really accepting and honoring your feelings is something that is needed. It is like, it's a non-negotiable when you are trying to move through things. So after you give yourself time to feel, release, accept everything, this is where we really want to exit this identity of being in a rejected state. It's this identity that you have been left, you have been walked away from, you have not been treated right. That's what I'm talking about when you wake up every day in this rejected state. And I think that when you do the counting, when you think about the breakup all day long, you are just reminding yourself of something that's not actually true, but you are living in this identity of, I've been walked away from. Again, this is not to say that you actually haven't, but it's not going to help you move forward in life when you're constantly looking at yourself like you've been rejected. This is the thing. The breakup that happened, the person that either probably walked away from you, and yes, majority of the times is usually like you've been broken up with, you might have maybe like felt the rejection or felt the abandonment or felt the whatever, but that happened like one time, even if you've gone through many breakups, but this has basically happened one time, but you are deciding on day 37 that it's still happening today and it's actually not, but you are deciding, oh, waking up again, rejected, waking up again, feeling not good enough, waking up again, reminding myself that this person didn't pick me. How is that going to help us? It's not going to help us. So exiting the rejected state is super, super huge. I learned that from this girl. Her name is Kim Velez, which I'm going to talk about some resources that can help you through this journey at the end. So some of the things that have actually helped me move from this rejected, woe is me, I've been left, I've been walked away identity is a few mindset shifts. So I'm just going to read out some of the things that have helped me that maybe you can try to adopt in your own mindset, in your own life. One is realizing that hurt people. I think that a lot of people really get tied up with what this person did to them, whether they walked away with no closure, or they treated them poorly, or they said this, or they called them this name, or they didn't do this thing. This is not to condone. This is not to say what they did was right. But at the end of the day, when somebody is not treating you right, they're not well, okay? And you can gaslight yourself all day to think that this person is just this like king of a person or whatever, whoever it is that you're talking about. But I promise you, people who treat you poorly are not even treating themselves correctly. So I always try to not take things personal when things don't work out, when breakups occur, when, you know, even if I've had to walk away from a relationship because it's very clear that this person's not showing up, I do not take things personal anymore. And I used to always take things personal. I used to always be like, if he wanted to, like he would. And like, oh my God, like he knows he should treat me well and he's not this, that. Stop taking things personally. Okay. I promise you, it will save you so much hurt. You are hurting yourself by thinking, oh, this person did this on purpose, this, that. This does not mean that the person that hurt you didn't do things knowing that they're hurting you. Okay, we do a lot of things that are not good for us, and we very much so are conscious of it. Okay, but that doesn't mean that this person is a healthy person. The next mindset shift you need to tell yourself, seriously, and this is actually like a non-negotiable. You have to tell yourself this. When you're going through a breakup or when something has not worked out, you have to tell yourself you are only one step closer to getting what it is that you actually want and deserve when it comes to a relationship or whatever you want in your life. But for this circumstance, a relationship. And thinking about it like this, when you are going through a breakup, there's a reason why you're going through a breakup, right? Maybe this person is not treating you right, or like whatever, there's a breakdown, or like you guys are not vibing, or you're not on the same path anymore, whatever. So how are you going to look at your breakup as if this is a loss? And technically, yes, you might be mourning that loss. There might be great attributes about this person, great things about this relationship that you're going to be losing. Yes, it's not, again, emotionally released. We get that. But we have to remind ourselves we're actually only one step closer to getting what we want. There is a lesson to be learned here. There is something that we were not getting in this relationship that contribute to the breakdown of this relationship. So how does it make any sense that we're not getting anywhere closer to what we want? We got to remind ourselves we are getting one step closer to what we actually deserve and we want, but it's going to be up to you to make that mindset shift. But a lot of people, we wake up every single day, oh my God, lost this relationship, this person walked away, I'm not good enough, this, that, rejected. This is not going to help you be able to wake up every morning and do some of the other things that we're talking about. So please, you are only one step closer to getting what you want. Even if you do not feel like it right now, it's fine that you don't feel like that. It's just a reminder you need to tell yourself. The next thing we need to talk about is to stop triggering yourself. I see so much of this in comment sections within some of my friends, I'm not going to lie, that are still kind of in these cycles, but I will throw myself under the bus. I used to do this all the time. This is not going to help you move along in your healing process when you are constantly checking and obsessing and thinking about what he's doing and checking his stories and his following and whatever. You have to think about all the things that you do in a day and how many times you are triggering yourself into this rejected state. And I'm going to read some of the questions that you guys had asked, and I will kind of talk about when I see someone clearly triggering themselves. And the thing is like the only person that's triggering you is actually you. Like when you are checking to see what new girl he's following or who he's dating now, you're the one triggering yourself by doing it. He's not doing it. You are, by going to check. So like we need to realize that we have a lot more control over our actions than we think. I get it can be hard, but it's like the obsessing and the checking does nothing for you but bring you back into this rejection state that we don't need. Okay. So what will help you with not triggering yourself is a few things. One of them is working on your self-concept and your beliefs that you hold about yourself, men, relationships in general. Because this is the thing, when you wake up every single day, you tell yourself a story about yourself, men, relationships, and it needs to start being a healthy, favorable story in order for you to actually get out of this state. So waking up in the morning and telling yourself you are worthy, relationships don't have to be so hard, men show up for you, you're able to work on relationships or fix relationships. When relationships don't work out, it doesn't mean it's a bad reflection on me or that I'm not going to get what I want. When something doesn't work out, I am going to get closer to what I want. These are all things you have to work on. Now, I made a how to change your self-concept / working on your beliefs podcast episode last week, which my editor will link down below. So I highly suggest you take a look at that episode, or listen, I should say, on the episode if you are wanting to work on your beliefs, because your beliefs are super, super important. And I think having a journal practice in the morning when you wake up and even at night, writing out new beliefs that you want to hold about yourself, about the breakup that's currently happening, about your future relationships or men in general. These are all going to be things that will help you not feel so triggered throughout the day, because usually you're moving throughout the day being like, I'm not worthy enough. Oh my God, I'm never going to find a man. Oh my God, like relationships are hard, or I'm never going to get what I want, or whatever. And those thoughts will translate into actions. So having better thoughts, beliefs about your circumstance, beliefs about yourself will really help you be able to take healthy action in your life, which is the next thing. And that is setting up a routine for yourself. Okay. You got to get your mind right to be able to actually take care of yourself so you can get out of this rejection state or rejected state, whatever. And I think that this is the absolute most important part. And I think that when I see these videos, as much as I'm really not trying to judge, I get it. We love to emotional release and like we need to share our feelings and this, that. But this hyper focus, this spotlight, this obsession over somebody else and his life and what he's doing and who he's dating and this, that, and the third. Babe, where is the spotlight for you in your life? You cannot tell me that you don't wake up every single day and you have a great morning routine, night routine, you're doing things for your goals, you're taking care of yourself. You cannot tell me you're doing that and you have been doing that consistently if you can spend all day thinking and ruminating about this person. I'm not saying that you won't have these thoughts as you're going to the gym or as you're taking care of yourself, but I'm saying this from personal experience. I thought about my exes so much more when I didn't have things going for me. And I don't mean, get hobbies and like get a life. I'm not even talking about that, but genuinely, I wasn't taking care of myself when I was going through breakups, like my first ever type of breakups. All I did was wake up in the morning, rejected state. Oh my God, I'm so insecure. I'm not worthy. Oh my God, he didn't pick me. Oh my God, this is not working out in my favor. Let me see what he's doing. Let me follow his life. Let me just scroll. Let me just eat my feelings. Let me just X, Y, and Z. Again, sure, have that phase. But how is that getting you to where you want in your life? We're not doing that. And on top of that, it's just like, I just don't like this idea of my beautiful podcast listeners waking up and giving somebody else who is not giving them the same attention so much attention, right? Like, you are worthy of so much more. You have one life and you're going to spend it thinking, ruminating, giving your energy to somebody who is not even in your life. And on top of that, it's not even about this specific person, this situation in general. How are you going to create a healthy relationship, a better life, your dream life, when you are focusing every single day on the thing you don't want? The way in which you get things in your life is to focus on the light. You don't focus on the things that you don't have in place, right? And again, we are not spiritual bypassing. We're not pretending like the darkness doesn't exist, this, that. You guys kind of get my point. So having a routine for yourself is so important. Please get on this and get on this every single day and come back to me in a week. I promise you. And what I mean by that is, actually, I think I wrote down a few things, but this is what I'll say. I think for one, sometimes it's good to do this and it's fun to have a night, like set out a night where you're setting some goals for maybe the next quarter. Okay. You're thinking about spring, summer, it's January. So maybe, you're listening to this in January, thinking about what you're looking forward to, okay? Even outside of this relationship, this spring and summer, goals you have, projects that you want to start, things for work, things that you've probably been slacking on or you haven't been addressing because maybe you've been through this, going through this breakup, which is totally fine. There are probably 5 to 10 things that you probably have not been focusing on. Why? Why do I know this? Because you can't simultaneously have the spotlight on you and spotlight on him. And I'm telling you right now, when you're going through this 37 days of no contact, your spotlight is on them. When you are so aware of his every move, or, oh my God, he's following this girl, or, oh my God, he's pulling away, the only reason you know that is because your spotlight is not on yourself. Okay? So let's bring the spotlight back to ourselves. How do we do that? First of all, you can have a night where you're setting some goals for yourself. You can literally go reference some of my main channel YouTube videos if you want to spark some interest about your own life, like outside of this man and relationships in general. Like, relationships are not even like the biggest thing about our lives. Like, I promise you that. Goals for the new year, things that you want to accomplish, your health. Are you taking care of your health? What do you want to do for your self-care? Everything. Just create some goals, get a new vibe, go on Pinterest, get excited for life again. Bring that life force energy back into your body. I promise you it is there. You just need to ignite it. And then having a morning routine and a night routine, because I can guarantee you right now, you probably don't have the best morning routine and you probably don't have the best night routine. I'm not saying that this is going to change absolutely every single thing. We're not even trying to suppress or change the fact that this is what's going on right now and you're going through this period of being alone or you're going through a breakup. But waking up in the morning and doing some self-concept journaling, aka working on the beliefs that you hold, changing the negative thoughts that you've been thinking into a more positive, beautiful, like better outlook on life type of thoughts, super, super helpful. Make it a practice in the morning. Again, you can go reference that video if you want like a detailed video about self-concept and changing your beliefs. Do something that actually gets your life force energy awakened, whether that's you listening to a podcaster or a YouTuber or you're reading a book, something that really gets you not focusing on this lack, this I'm not getting what I want energy, something. Get busy in the morning. Of course, make sure that you are moving your body. This is outside of I'm getting fit so he can see that I'm better now or like so he can be jealous. No, we're not doing that. We are not doing that. Why? Because when you do things from a place of trying to get him to see how you're doing, it's you still having the spotlight on him. Okay? The spotlight needs to be on yourself. And if you haven't been taking care of yourself, it's just important to take care of yourself in general, right? Like you should be moving your body. You should be making sure that you're having balanced meals. Also, doing nervous system regulation is very important because realistically, you're probably in fight or flight. You went through a traumatizing thing. Essentially, yes, it's very traumatizing when you're going through a breakup, especially if you haven't been moving through it. You haven't been letting those emotions come through your body out. Also, moving the life force energy and giving yourself like healthier affirmations. So when I'm talking about nervous system regulation, this can just be short meditations in the morning, during the day when you're feeling triggered. So let's say you're having a good morning, you did your beliefs and yada yada, and you're kind of feeling those thoughts and feelings of like, oh, I'm alone, or oh my God, like thinking about what he's doing or checking this, that, and the third. This is a good time to do a meditation, a guided meditation where somebody's kind of bringing, you can pick a million of them up. I'll have resources down below where a person is guiding you back to yourself, back to your body, back to calm, right? It's like your inner child wants to go on this emotional roller coaster throughout the day. And she's like, you haven't thought about him in a while. Let's go up here and let's think about all the scenarios. And then if you stay there for too long, what's going to happen is you will start checking. You will start getting in those scenarios. You will start telling yourself, oh my God, this is never going to end. It's okay if we go there, but you got to take your inner child's hand, essentially, bring it back down that roller coaster. And sometimes doing a guided meditation can help you do that. So finding tools that really help you come back down. Of course, obviously speaking to friends, family, therapy, those type of things can help. Getting your mind right and on track when you find your inner child wanting to go to the negative, go to the, oh my God, I'm abandoned. Totally fine. Lovingly bring your inner child back towards yourself. Also, getting out into the world, going to connect with friends. Again, just reminding yourself there is so much life outside of this breakup. I know it doesn't feel like it, but really there is. I would also highly consider who you're hanging out with though, and what you're doing in terms of like not triggering yourself too much. Like don't put yourself in situations where the ex is going to be brought up a million times, or you're going to the clubs and you're partying and you're drinking, which you know is just going to trigger you and like want to text the ex, or like, I don't know, you feel like you're suppressing and running away from your emotions when you're I don't know, drinking, smoking, things like that. Be very aware of the things that trigger you and do your best to course correct for the time. Support yourself through this time. And of course, having a night routine, working on the beliefs again, doing a nervous system regulation, listening to a podcast, listening to something that is going to get you on track, get your mind on track. Stop also listening to people, TikToks, conversations with friends where it's negative, or you're going on YouTube and checking out why did he walk away, or when is he going to come back, or what does this text message mean? Again, remind yourself, spotlight, is it on him or is it on me? That's literally all you need to ask yourself. One last thing before we get into the Q&A. I know some people do this no contact rule thing in situations where maybe a guy has been pulling away, or like there's not an actual breakup happening, but you're using this as a technique or a tool to get somebody to come back or treat you better or just come back. We're not going to use no contact for that. We are not going to play games. The no contact is for you, okay? This is a healing process. This is you bringing the spotlight back to you. So if you are like trying to like search up, because there's like actually like, you know, when I read out the description of no contact rule, there's like dating coaches that talk about this rule. If you go like no contact for like 90 days and he's going to come back and this, that, remind yourself, are you doing this for you? Or are you doing it for him? Are you going to the gym and you're working on yourself and your goals just to wait for him to come back? Or are you doing it for you? You should always be doing this for you, because if you do it for just like to pass time, or you're doing it and waiting, at the end of the day, like he might come back, but you're going to be in the same self-concept. You're going to be still triggered all the time. You're still going to have these insecurities. Like, we're not doing that. So I don't know. I just wanted to say that. Okay, so let's get into Q&A. A bunch of you guys asked questions. I'm not going to be able to get to every one of them, but I'm going to do my best. And I think I answered a lot of people's questions, I feel, in some of the tips I just gave. Somebody asked how to stop stalking on social media. You know what? Actually, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm going to probably give you a little bit of tough love and big sister advice when I'm answering some of these questions, okay? And my answer to that is you know how to stop stalking him on social media. Block, mute, delete, out of sight, out of mind. Don't go and type in his name and check. And my thing is this: what is this doing for you? Ask yourself before you do it. Please, when you have the urge to go and check, ask yourself, what is this going to do for me? What is this going to make me feel like? And if you find something bad, it's going to make you feel like shit. If you find something not bad, like, you know, nothing's changed, what is that still doing for you though? You're still relying on this validation of like, oh, okay, he hasn't gotten a new girl yet, or like he hasn't like, what is his life and what he's doing any concern to you? Again, the spotlight, is it on you or is it on him? The spotlight needs to be on you. You know how to stop stalking on social media. It's very simple. Delete, block, whatever you need to do, and don't do it. And ask yourself in the moment when you do it, what are you going to get out of this thing? And check in with yourself. How do you feel after you do it? Do you feel good about yourself when you check his social media and you realize he doesn't have a new girl yet? Why are you feeling good about yourself if you don't see that? You should always feel good about yourself regardless. You know what I mean? Next, somebody said, waiting for him to come back is exhausting. And somebody also said, how to prepare myself if he comes back after no contact, as if nothing happened. So, of course, waiting for him to come back is exhausting because you're waiting. Why are you waiting? There is nothing to wait for. Quite frankly, if you're waiting, when he comes back, if he does, you're most likely just going to get the same version of him, the same dynamic, because you're waiting. You haven't worked on yourself. And I'm not saying like, oh my God, girl, like you need to work on yourself and you need to fix yourself. I'm not saying that, but you're stripping your life away. You're stripping your life away and your spotlight is on him. Why? Do you want your marriage to be like that? Do you want your future to be spotlight on him always? No. You know this is something that you need to work on. This is an anxious attachment. This is a spotlight on him energy thing. I would highly suggest take the tips that I said in this video and apply them and stop waiting. There's literally nothing to wait for. Why would you be waiting also for somebody who didn't show up the way that you clearly needed him to show up or whatever? Like the relationship isn't what it is. I'm not saying that these guys won't come back, but you're not going to get what you want when you're waiting. And addressing that second question of if he comes back after no contact, how do I act like nothing's happened? It's not about acting like nothing has happened. If you were actually to focus on yourself through this like no contact period, you wouldn't be asking these questions. You wouldn't need to know any answer. The answer would already be there. You'd already be responding in a way in which him coming back is like, it's irrelevant. You get to decide when he comes back if you want him in your life or not. There's no needing to act like nothing happened. When he comes back, you'll be in a place of security and confidence to address it if you need to, depending on what your relationship was or like what he did or like whatever it is or not. But there's no like acting. We don't need to focus on how am I going to act. You're not getting the point. You're not getting the point. And I'm being like very lovingly and like sweet about it because I've been there too. But again, focus on yourself, not on him. The question of how do I act like nothing has happened? That means the spotlight is on him. So it's not a logical question that we need to be asking. Someone said, how to overcome the thought of he was the one that I wanted to build a family with and he has all the qualities of a provider. I think obviously that can be hard because again, like we love who we love, we like who we like, we want to be with who we want to be with. I also don't think that you always have to tell yourself like, oh, it's never going to be, like, who knows? Like a person can come back and you guys could both absolutely change and it could be magical and amazing, but we're not going to be waiting for that. But like, why do you tell yourself that he's the only provider in the world? Like you do realize that there are many, 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 many other men who are providers. Again, this comes down to the story that you're telling yourself. Because he had all the qualities of a provider. Yes, that is probably true. But also that doesn't mean that there's not a million other men who also have qualities of provider. And there's obviously something within this relationship that's not working. So why are we like holding on to something that we didn't even want? We clearly, like, there was something in that relationship that wasn't working out for us, that wasn't actually serving us. And again, in terms of getting over somebody who you thought you were going to build a family with, you don't necessarily have to get over that. It's not about like forcing yourself to think like, oh, okay, no, he's just not going to be the one. Who knows? Maybe he is, but it's relevant to you because what you're doing is you're putting your focus on yourself, right? Someone also said how to deal with accepting that they probably won't reach out and your absence means nothing to them. How do you know that? How do you know that your absence doesn't mean anything to them? Oh, it's because you tell yourself that, right? There's a story that you tell yourself, and it's that. So I would highly suggest you choose another story to tell yourself. And then what you're going to probably say in your head, or like some girls, and I'm going to read out something that somebody said too. And again, I love you. But what you're going to say is like, oh no, but like the actions that he hasn't taken or the things that he said or the things that he's currently doing shows me that my absence means nothing to him. Irrelevant. You have no idea. It doesn't even matter. It literally doesn't even matter. Like, and again, coming back to the hurt people thing. If he's not treating you any sort of way that you want him to be treating, let's not take it personally. Doesn't mean that your absence is nothing. Again, it's you're telling yourself these stories that don't help you in your circumstance. And somebody said in my TikTok comment section, they were like, I only think about him because he chose another girl over me, and it's hard because he did me so dirty and he's treating her better and giving her everything I beg for. How do you know this? How do you know that this man is treating that girl better and giving her everything and you begged for everything? And how do you know that? Oh, what? You stalk on social media and you see or you heard from this girl or that girl that he's doing this thing with that girl. Why is it relevant to you? Again, spotlight on him. doesn't need to be on him. It's irrelevant what he does. It's irrelevant what he gives this girl or not. You still don't even know the full story. Are you in their relationship? Are you in their text messages? How do you know what he's giving her? How do you know? And how do you know that this is even sincere? How do you know what I mean? And I get it. There's a lot of analyzing other behavior, aka his behavior or the girl's behavior or whatever it is. And I think that you got to ask yourself, what is this doing for me? It's doing nothing. Your absence is so wanted, okay? And I know it's really hard for you to believe that when somebody is not acknowledging your absence, but you can't wait to feel better about yourself by him acknowledging your absence. Him acknowledging your presence. You can't do that. Why are you waiting for somebody who is clearly not well to be acknowledging you anyways? Why are we doing that? It's just, it annoys me, and it's not you guys annoy me, but it annoys me that we have so much focus on this person outside of us that is not even with us right now. Listen, if you're not currently with a man right now, and I'm saying men because we're basically all girls here and we date men, but you can use it in whatever aspect. If this man is not in front of your face, he honestly should be very irrelevant, especially when you're not in a relationship, okay? And if you are in a relationship, he still kind of should be a little bit irrelevant if he's not in front of your face. And I mean that in the nicest way. I'm not saying that you can't love a man, you can't this, that, and the third, but you have to understand that there is so much more outside of relationships, even when you are in a relationship. So yeah, bringing it back to the stories you tell yourself. Because again, accepting the fact that they probably won't reach out. How do you know they probably won't reach out? How do you know that? You don't. You're just telling yourself that. How about, maybe he will reach out, and most likely he will reach out, but it's irrelevant to me anyways because I'm focusing on me. It doesn't matter. I don't need to wait. There's no counting. There's no waiting. I'm not waiting for anything. If he reaches out, he reaches out. And when he reaches out, guess what? I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be working on my stuff. I'm going to be so freaking happy that I get to decide what happens from now on if he reaches out. But that's not something that I need to worry about right now. Why? Because it's not happening right now. Next question. Somebody said, what to do when you see them in public? Should I ignore them? I want them to feel like I'm over it. Again, spotlight on him. I want him to feel like I'm over it. Should I You don't have to think about anything. It doesn't matter. Why can't we just move through life being normal in a sense of, I understand that it might be awkward and weird to see somebody that you've dated in real life, 100%. But we can be mature about this, right? We can walk out into life and understand that there are just people who you might have had past relationships with, no harm, no whatever, even if, yes, maybe they're idiots, whatever, you let them be whoever they want to be. But and I mean, don't let them treat you horribly if you see them in person, but we don't have to make this such a big deal. I have been out in real life and I have seen exes, I have seen ex best friends, I have seen people who, I don't know, we just didn't follow up, or we used to talk and we didn't. And I even mean just friends or people that I follow or something, whatever. And it's not a big deal because I don't make it a big deal. And if they're making it a big deal, that's irrelevant to me. So I just think, again, remind yourself in the moments when you're thinking about, oh, I want them to feel, why? You don't. Spotlight back on you, please. Someone said, what to do when you get the urge to pop in and message him. I would list out all the consequences of doing that before you do it. You have to be hyper aware of the consequences of your actions. And you got to do that over and over and over again. And it might take time because you might have done it, or you might sometimes do it and sometimes not. But what are the consequences of you reaching out? Well, one, that that's probably not going to get you anywhere. And even if you want to be with this person, you chasing, especially if we're talking about men, we know that that's not going to work. Okay. Especially if somebody walked away from you or pulled away, or you guys mutually, whatever it is. I personally think, in my opinion, just doesn't really help chasing or messaging. And I think that, yes, even messaging can come off as this energy of holding on to something, grasping onto something. So just remind yourself, well, what are you going to feel like when you reach out and he either doesn't respond or he doesn't give you the response that you want? Also ask yourself, what are you looking for? And, we're mainly looking for, yes, you want this person maybe to validate you, or you want this person to say that they like you or they love you and they want to be with you again. Listen, if they really want to, they'll message you, they'll come back, they'll do whatever, but you're also not waiting. And yeah, I just don't think that that's helpful. So I would list out all of the consequences of your actions before you do it. Somebody said, it's hard to move on when I think about maybe one day we could get back together. Yeah. And this is the thing, like, it's okay. Why can we not just hold room for, yeah, maybe one day we will be together, but guess what? It's not right now. Guess what? There's things that I want to work on. Guess what? This person is clearly not in a space where they're well enough to be with me. We need to work on things that are going on, whatever. We don't have to strip away the fact that, yes, there might be a world in which this person comes back. And quite frankly, they always do come back. But it's going to be up to you and them as well. I'm not saying that this is like all about us and this, that, but I just mean like you can focus on yourself and put the spotlight on you and still hold space for, yeah, okay, maybe one day. But you want to make sure that that spotlight is on you and you're not like holding out energy. Go live your life, go date people, go heal, go do whatever you need to do, and understand that you will have maybe one day an opportunity for you to decide whether you want to be with this person or not. Again, this honestly does come down to beliefs. Do you believe that relationships can work out? Do you believe that you get choice? Do you believe that people come back and they can come back, living up to your standard, whatever it is? I don't know. I just think that like it's okay to have that thought, but it's not the thing that we need to be focusing on right now because the spotlight needs to be back on us. Someone said, I work with my old situationship and don't want it to be awkward at work, but I want nothing to do with him. I think confidence is really key. And this is not about pretending like you're not fazed by what happened, but it's this energy of you're acknowledging somebody's existence because you work with them or you see them and you're okay with it. You're showing them you're okay, meaning you're doing your work. If you have to talk to them about something to do with work or school or whatever it is, you talk to them like a mature adult. It's okay. It is okay that I have to converse with you and we didn't work out. It is okay that we have gone our separate paths. And even when it comes to, let's say this person was an asshole to you. Well, guess what? You're not an asshole. You are somebody who is confident. You are somebody who treats people with kindness and care. This is not about letting somebody walk all over you. This is not about people pleasing. It's simply, okay, I understand that you are not clearly well, or we didn't work out, or you want something that I don't want. And that is that. It is totally okay. This is something that we need to learn how to do in general. So, obviously I don't exactly know like why you didn't work out with this person, but this whole like I don't want it to be awkward, you're the only one that's making it awkward. Seriously. Like you are the only one. And if this person's acting immature, then this person's acting immature and then they're the ones that are making it. But still, like you are the one telling yourself that it's awkward. It's not awkward. It's actually like totally fine. You just have to tell yourself that. Someone said, how to not feel bad about initiating no contact when you know it was right for you. This is a good one because this is definitely a lot of situations that I've been in with men. This energy of realizing, oh, okay, I'm not getting my needs met. You're clearly not able to step up to the plate, or we've had conversations in which it's very clear that I'm not going to get what I am looking for here. So I will have to initiate this. It's not like I don't like look at it like that, but it's just like, this can't be a thing. And I'm not accepting this into my reality because this is not getting me what I want type of energy. And you have to always remind yourself, you did it for a reason. There is a reason you initiated this no contact. Obviously, you wouldn't initiate no contact if you're in a loving, beautiful relationship and you're getting all your needs met, right? Of course you wouldn't. So done deal. There is an actual reason and you have to trust your intuition. And yes, it's probably the feelings of loneliness and feeling like, oh, there's no one to talk to or you miss this person, and that's okay. You let your emotions out, you feel, but you remind yourself you are only one step closer to what you deserve and what you want. And you did the right thing. Of course you did the right thing. And you have to remind yourself when you are walking away, when you decide to have no contact, you're just bringing yourself closer, even if it feels like you're not, you're just mourning that loss and that, the validation that you might be getting on day to day. But listen, you don't want that half-ass validation. You don't. That's why you walked away. You don't want that half-ass relationship. You don't. That's why you walked away, okay? So it hurts in the moment, but trust me, it creates so much more room for you to get exactly what it is that you want. You want everything. You want it all, and you want it all the time. And you will get that when you say no to things that are not a full body yes. Someone said, we have one child together, and he walked away while pregnant with his second child. So she's pregnant with a second child, and she said that she was feeling sad, but I don't really know, like, she wasn't really saying much else about that. I think my thoughts are this: coming back to hurt people, this is something that's very hurtful. Like the fact that a man is walking away from a woman who is bearing his child is, in my personal opinion, very cowardly. But I want to be careful with what I say here, because he's clearly hurt, okay? There are clearly parts of him that are operating out of probably deep trauma, probably unhealthy attachment styles. I don't know your guys' situation, so I gotta not throw it all on him, but there's obviously things that are going on in his life. So this is not to demonize, but it's also not to accept. I think that you absolutely deserve way better than this. I think that I personally, if I was in this situation, I don't know what I would do, because it's a different, I don't know the details, but I would not let somebody back in my life who will not step up to the plate and be there for his child. So I think when it comes time to having these conversations, or him wanting to come back, I would kind of assess the situation and see where he is at, or why it is that he even walked away in the first place. Again, I don't really know, but it's totally okay to feel sad and disappointed. And this is not the time to have somebody walk away from you. So I would take some of the tips that I've mentioned in this episode. I know it can be difficult because this is a father of your child. I also think that there is a life in which you are also able to work on your beliefs and what you deserve in relationships, to the point where maybe you also find somebody else who takes care of you, not takes care of you, but shows up for you. There's many people who their baby dads step out and they move into loving relationships because they bring that spotlight onto them, and they know their worth, and they work through whatever they've had to work through, and they find somebody who's a better match for them. So don't look at your life I don't know what you look at it as right now, so I don't want to put anything out there, but this is not the end of what your life can be in terms of a family unit. There are many ways that this can play out, and I think you need to focus on the positive. You need to focus on, okay, well, is there things that I've let slide in this relationship? What is wrong in this relationship? What needs to be worked on? Is there room for improvement? What are my beliefs regarding relationships? What are the attachment styles that I might have? What are the attachment styles that he might have? All of these things. But yeah, I'm sorry that you're going through that, because that's really shitty. But hurt people, unfortunately, hurt people. Someone said, what do you do when you miss him? I think that is totally fine when you miss somebody, of course. Sucks, duh. Especially when you talk to somebody every day. It's oh my God, this person was my person. I miss him. I miss the validation. I miss the connection. I miss the X, Y, and Z. But I think that you feel it and you let it pass. And if you're finding it hard to let it pass, there's most likely a belief that you hold that is, I won't get love again, or I won't have a relationship again. There is a belief of, I won't get this again, in which you tend to grieve instead of simply miss a person. So I would definitely go into your beliefs if you really struggle, if you're constantly grieving. If you're constantly missing somebody, it's okay to miss them. But also what are you telling yourself? You're telling yourself, oh, well, I'm not going to get this again. I'm never going to find a provider. He has all these qualities, or I'm not going to have a family, or I'm not going to whatever. These are all beliefs. These are things and stories that you're telling yourself. So I would go to the root of what you believe if you really struggle with feeling it and like letting it pass. So those are going to be all of the questions that I answer. I do want to talk about a few resources that I think can be helpful for those who are going through this period of breakups or no contact or whatever it is that you're struggling with right now. Because my podcast is not really all about relationships, because I like to talk about other things outside of relationships. I'm also not currently in one, so I can only give you guys my advice on like what I've been through. And I just think that the things that I talk about on my podcast allow you to actually enter healthier relationships by focusing on yourself and healing, all that kind of work. But I think Dylan James, which is our king, our absolute king when it comes to relationships, he talks about finances, money, success, everything, mindset work, but I think he definitely helps those who are struggling in relationships. So I would suggest going to check out his YouTube channel. He has a lot of affirmation, belief tracks as well, but he has a lot of live videos and just videos in general if you are struggling with feeling like crap about yourself when it comes to relationships, not believing that you're going to get what you want in relationships, everything like that. Kim Velez is another person that I think really focuses on self-concept, which is very, very important when it comes to relationships versus focusing on how am I going to get this person back or waiting for them to come and I'm doing no contact and why haven't they texted me or da-da-da-da. It's not about them. It's not about anything to do with anyone outside of you. So she has really good content. Also, The Power of Attachment, which is a book by Diane Poole, I think is very helpful when it comes to healing. You need to understand your attachment style. You need to understand trauma. If you really want to work through this, and if you find that you keep ruminating, you're going to the past and it's been 4 years and you keep thinking about this guy, babe, please, we cannot strip our one life in focusing on this person outside of us, okay? Nervous system regulation and attachment styles can be huge. So The Power of Attachment is a great book. Also, Waking the Tiger by Peter Levine is about healing trauma. I'm actually currently reading that book. I think that that's a good book to understand frozen tension in the body and how trauma can get stuck in the body and how we need to actually move that trauma like in and out of our life force energy essentially so that we can continue to move on in our lives. And sometimes when we're stuck ruminating, usually it's tension and trauma from something that's happened in our past and we can't seem to move forward. So anyways, I would highly suggest that book. I will have it linked down below. Also, I have my book, The Ultimate Glow Up Guide, which it'll be released January 30th. And I talk a lot about the internal glow up that I had in my life, which definitely directly affected the way I showed up in relationships. I talk about self-sabotage. I talk about rebuilding your confidence, insecurities, self-sabotage, a lot of things to do with the cycles that we get ourselves in. But I do talk about relationships in this book as well. So I'd highly suggest take a look at my book. It'll be coming out, like I said, January 30th. And if you do pre-order the book, you will get a shadow work journal prompt guide. The instructions on how to get it will be linked down below. Also, one more podcast that I think is really good for relationships is called Being Her by Margarita. I don't know how to say her last name. I'm not even going to try. You will see her podcast. She's blonde and she's our freaking queen when it comes to relationships. She talks a lot about detachment and anxious attachment and this, that. So I would highly suggest you take a look at all of those resources. It'll all be linked down below. I'll also link a few episodes that I have regarding anything to do with any more breakup tips that I have or attachment styles, healing trauma, all that good stuff. I hope this episode helped. I really just want us to get out of this energy of like day 37 of no contact and counting down the days. Decide. Wake up and decide what gets to happen in your life. Wake up and decide, you know what? What's important right now is the spotlight on me. And also, you will get this beautiful relationship. You will have men show up for you and provide for you. And you will get the family and you will get this, that, and the third. But it's not going to happen when you wake up every single day and you're focusing on the thing that you didn't want. Learn the lessons, see the wisdom. Do not shame yourself, release your emotions, do what you have to do. But there's so much more life to live outside of living in this story, in this rejected state. We don't need to do that. I promise you. I have gotten so good at moving through breakups when they've happened in my later years of my life after like learning all of this stuff, to the point where if things don't work out with a man, the only thing that I think of and the only thing that I'm learning is like everything that I don't want, or seeing how maybe I even played a role in it, how the spotlight maybe was on him. But in general, like, this is not even to blame myself, but just like, okay, now I know, now I'm this much closer to getting what I want. And I will tell you this, if you look at my dating history, it's an uphill because of these things. And bringing it back to the girl that said, oh, you must have never gone through a breakup, babe. My first ever breakup, I think I was in that rejected state for damn near 2 years, because I didn't have this advice. I didn't work through this type of stuff. I was every day wondering what was wrong with me, insecurities, checking, triggering myself all day, trying to change myself and see how he will come back if I act like this or if I do that. Nope, not happening, not doing it. So I hope this episode helped, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube, and you can also listen to the episode on Spotify and Apple if you want to go for a hot girl walk. And that is it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.